This is the digital ethno-narrative for FSoS 3102 by Margarita Duran for Dr. Catherine Solheim. I have the pleasure of interviewing Julia Gutierrez, who is from Jalisco, Mexico. She's from a little ranch in Jalisco. This is Guadalajara, the capital. And this is what the ranch would look like, where she would live, like in mountains, between the mountains and the valleys. In Mexico, mestizos represent a racial majority as opposed to the indigenous population, which represents the minority. And mestizo means a mixed blood of European and indigenous blood. The average household size in Mexico today is 3 to 4 persons, as opposed to back in the day when it was more common for people to have more children, especially in the ranch, because they didn't have modern medicine and forms of birth control, so they had a lot of children, anywhere from 5 to 20 children at a time. Roman Catholicism is the main religion in Mexico, which is why the people in Mexico celebrate Catholic holidays the best, like Easter, and also when Jesus Christ was born. They don't, though, give gifts on Christmas. They actually give gifts a few days, a week or so after Christmas, on a holiday called Dia de los Reyes Magos, Three Kings Day, imitating how the three kings gave gifts to Jesus. Another big holiday is Dia de los Muertos, which is the Day of the Dead. Now let's get this interview started. Hello, what's your name?
Mi nombre es Julia Gutierrez.
Okay, and when were you born?
Yo nací en 1953. I was born in 1953.
Okay. And where were you born?
I was born in Jalisco, Mexico.
And what's the meaning behind your name? Like, why did you get the name Julia? Or how did you get the name Julia?
Julia, no sé cuál es la mía, pero me lo pusieron. They put my name because my grandma and the part of my mom, it was her name. And who was my godmother, it was Step Dora O'Hare. And she say she was a wonderful person, and she would like to see in me that wonderful person.
Describe the neighborhood you grew up in, o sea, el rancho como
Where I grew up, it was a farmer, where it was like about a couple houses only. It was a river close to there. We have to go to wash the clothes in the river. It was really nice because the water was so clear. It was nice to play over there.
Was it hot all the time, all year round? Describe like the temperature, like the environment. Was it a lot of green, a lot of like deserty looking?
No, it was a lot of mountains.
Mountains?
Yeah, mountains, but it was green in the time when it was a spring break, really green. But it wasn't cold. It wasn't hot. They say templado. I don't know how to say templado. Was templado, like between cold and hot. but it was really nice, the temperature.
Okay. What traditions do you remember celebrating when you growing up?
We were celebrating when Jesus born and the Christmas, but we never named Christmas. We named El Nacimiento del Niño Jesús. And we were doing, and where I was living, we didn't have a church. We have like a kind of capilla, chapel, and the peoples who were living in there, like a young people, they were doing a lot of things, like they were doing the Reyes Magos, La Virgen María, San José, todo en persona con niños. Everything's in person with the little children, like 6 years old, 10 years old, and we have a really nice, really nice celebration.
Okay, so most of these like traditions that you celebrated growing up, like the major traditions, were Catholic, would you say?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Catholic.
Okay, so were you growing up? You were raised Catholic too?
Yes.
Okay, and everybody in like your neighborhood mostly like was Catholic too?
Yes.
And in your ranch or rancho?
At that time, and farmer, everyone was Catholic.
Okay.
They were celebrating. My mom and the family, they were going every first Friday in a month to go to like 5 hours and the horses to go to do to have a confession and to have the communion.
Oh, okay.
It was like one Friday, the first Friday all the time. The first Friday in the month.
Okay. So, where you from? You wouldn't celebrate like Halloween?
No,
No?
we don't. We didn't. We celebrate El Día de los Muertos.
Oh, okay, okay.
And the date it was in the first December 1st. It was El Día de los Angelitos. It was the children who was passed away when they were little children. Y el día 2 de diciembre, December 2nd, it was el Día de los Muertos Adultos. But since the first day, we put the candles, like prender velas. How say prender?
Yep. Turn on candles.
Turn on candles for the angels, the little ones. And the second date, since in the morning, all day, the candles, turn up candles for the elders who pass away. But both days we make arroz con leche, calabaza con dulce, different kind of food, and put it on the table. Because they say the muertitos were coming to eat at that time, and they need to have the candle light because they want to see the way where they were coming.
Okay.
And to eat the food. And it was both days, 2 days, they have a food on the table, a special table, flowers de cempasúchil. That's the special flowers for the muertos, and it was a celebration.
Okay, nice. So how many people were in your like immediate family?
Where in my immediate family?
Yeah. So did you grow up with like brothers, sisters?
Yes, it was. We were six people. My mom has 8. It was 6 six boys,
Mm-hmm.
and two girls, my sister and me.
Mm-hmm.
But when I grow up, the first two boys, some of the first boys before me, they passed away when they were like 1 year or 2 years old.
Okay.
And I grew up with my sister and five boys.
Okay. Like, how many kids averagely do you think people would have in your day?
No, that usually tradition, not tradition family size, because when they get married in the church, in the Catholic Church, they were promised to God to receive the children who were coming in the weight. This is, could have a 10, 5, 11, or 16, or 18, anyone's, depends what how many apparently how many God sent it to the couple.
Okay. But it usually was big families or like small families?
Usually it was big
Big
families.
families? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. What were your memories of your parents? Like, were you close to them? What do you remember about that?
It was kind of the parents, they didn't have so much close to us, because the father has to work in the farm really hard to bring the friend on the food on the table, and the mom has to work really hard in the house, like washing clothes, cooking. And at that time, didn't have enough time to spend with the children. It was because they have to make it, put the corn, boil it, the corn to make it tortillas, to do the corn with the masa, with one special tool they have at home, and they have to do by themselves. They didn't have enough time to stay with us close.
Okay.
But we were playing around on the farmer.
Okay, nice. So would you say you were more close with your dad or your mom?
And my mom, usually with my mom,
Okay.
when she was when I was little. But my mom passed away really early when I was 15 years old.
Okay. And did that have anything to did after your mom passed away? Did you and your sister have to like step up as a mom in your guys' family?
No, when my mom passed away, my mom and my dad, they were not living together.
Oh, okay.
I was I think around 7 to 8 years old when my mom was moving to a little town, and my dad stayed living in the farmer,
Okay.
because there were a lot of domestic violence at that time, and my mom has to move, and we stayed with her like I think it was like 8 years or 7 years living with my mom. And when she passed away, I went back to live with my father for like 3 years with him. After 3 years, I get married when I was 18 years old.
Okay. So what responsibilities did you have growing up? Like, was school a big responsibility for you, or?
When I was living, when we moved with my mom, I think I was like start to go to the first grade when I was 8 or 9 years old, and I went only for 3 years. I think it was like 12 years old when I was in the third grade, and I have to stop at that time because my mom has to work hard, and I have to start to work when I was 9 years old, to make a 1 peso, Mexican peso, a day. But my mom was going to pick it up, and I have to go in the morning, 8 in the morning, in the house with taking care of 1 or 2 children, and map the floor and doing something at home and in the home of the person where I was working. And at 1:30 I have to go running to the school when I was in the first grade and second grade and third grade. That it was it was the only I was starting on the school until third grade. I finished other school when I have my children. So yeah, when I was old, like 24 years old or something like that.
Okay. In your household, when you got married, who was the one who like stayed home and cooked and cleaned? Was it?
When I get married,
Uh huh.
I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was the tradition, like how you grew up. Was that the woman that stayed home and cooked and cleaned?
Yes. Yes, it was a tradition.
Okay. So as you moved to the U.S. and being here, like at this age, would you say the woman still has to stay home and cook and clean in this day and age?
No, I start to after get married. I was living like 1 year in the farmer, and we moved to Mexico City. But in Mexico City, he was working, and I have to start work because it was hard. We have to pay rent and a lot of stuff, and I start to work. To work sometimes, so going to the houses to wash the clothes of the family, and more later I was doing sewing, and making clothes like dress, different kind of sewings. I went to the school and to study to using different kind of the machines, like to do pants, to do sweaters, to do different kind of the things. But I was learning, and I was working in Mexico City before coming here.
Okay.
Farmers is good to stay because has to wash the clothes, has to do a lot of things. Here they don't need. We have a washer machine. We have a laundry, and we have a lot of things. That's like losing the time. Losing for me is like losing the time in the. If one person stay home and not going to do something to work to collaborate with the family. We can live better when husband and wife they have working when they work.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.